In the spring of 2008, the 16th Air Assault Brigade deployed to Helmand province in southern Afghanistan to replace the departing 52nd Brigade. For the 16th, this was their second tour of the province in just 2 years, and as such, the brigade was no stranger to the difficulties Helmand presented, with the unofficial history of British operations in Afghanistan explaining that. The British task force was once again as stretched as ever across a geographical space it could not hope to adequately control. Brigadier Mark Carlton Smith, commander 16th Brigade, was acutely aware of this overstretch and was determined not to allow the British task force to be committed to additional districts in Helmand. Among the units deploying with 16th Brigade in 2008 was the 1st Battalion, the Royal Irish Regiment, who were assigned a mentoring role to the Afghan National Army. In this capacity, the men of the 1st Royal Irish were not only to train their Afghan colleagues, but also accompany them on patrols and large-scale operations, such as the offensive launched to the south of Musa Qala on the 10th of May 2008. This offensive was a combined Afghan army and police operation, which aimed to disrupt Taliban activities in the region and engage with and reassure the local population. In support were a handful of warrior armoured fighting vehicles, in addition to an 8-man mentoring team from the 1st Royal Irish. The operation commenced on the 10th of May, and by mid-morning the joint British-Afghan force had established itself in the village of the Zori Sofla. From here, Afghan police patrols were sent out to investigate reports of a large Taliban force that was operating to the south of the village. However, no sooner had these patrols departed did they become pinned down by heavy and accurate enemy fire. Realising that their position was unlikely to improve, the policemen requested for immediate reinforcements, and just after 0900, a company of Afghan soldiers, reinforced by the 8-man mentoring team, were sent out to provide support. Collectively, these reinforcements were placed under the temporary command of Lance Corporal Jone Toge, a Fijian serving with the Royal Irish. Leaving the Zori Sofla, Lance Corporal Toge sighted the Afghan company and the mentoring team into a position from which they could lay down suppressive fire onto the Taliban force, however, as author Richard Doherty details. Having formed a fire base from which to suppress some 20 Taliban, Lance Corporal Toge's team come under heavy fire from rifles and RPGs. After an hour and a half of this engagement, Toge received orders for the Afghan company to advance with 2 platoons forward. On receipt of these orders, the Lance Corporal rallied together the dozen or so Afghan soldiers and led them out across open ground directly towards the Taliban entrenchments. Simultaneously, 2 of the warrior AFVs moved up in a direct fire support role. Although there was little cover available and the incoming enemy fire was heavy, Lance Corporal Toge remained calm throughout the advance, as time and time again he switched from firing his rifle to encouraging his Afghan counterparts to keep moving and not go to ground. A Ministry of Defence report later added, repeatedly, Toge exposed himself to fire, disregarding his own safety, to keep the Afghan soldiers going forward. His gallant and inspirational leadership had every man following him. Meanwhile, partway through the advance, one of the warriors became the focus of the Taliban, and within a matter of minutes, the vehicle had sustained no less than 10 RPG hits, one of which seriously wounded an Afghan sergeant and blew Lance Corporal Jone Toge off his feet. In spite of this, the Lance Corporal was able to regain himself, and not only did he proceed to pull the sergeant into cover, but he then administered first aid to the wounded officer. Shortly thereafter, the Fijian grabbed his rifle once more and continued to lead the Afghan company forward to within 100 metres of the enemy positions, where an additional 4 Afghan soldiers became wounded. Like before, Lance Corporal Toge, without hesitation and with assistance from an Afghan medic, rushed over to the 4 casualties to evacuate them to safety, as he recalled afterwards. They were screaming, one had a neck and shoulder injury. I knew I had to extract the casualties, that was my priority. So I went with an Afghan medic, we crawled forward, got the guys, pulled them back and patched them up. We heaved them onto the back of the warrior and then continued fighting. The adrenaline kicks in and you prioritise casualty, objective, then yourself. That's what I did. Thus, Lance Corporal Jone Toge, with assistance from an Afghan medic, had one by one successfully carried to safety the 4 Afghan soldiers, all the while out in the open and under intense enemy fire. For this heroism and the leadership he displayed throughout the 10th of May 2008, the Lance Corporal was recognised with a conspicuous Gallantry Cross, Britain's second highest military decoration. His citation concludes with, "Toge's actions were truly extraordinary, not least because he was, as a Lance Corporal, commanding a company group of indigenous forces in the most challenging and dangerous conditions against a determined, well-equipped and brutal enemy. His raw courage, inspirational leadership, tactical acumen and almost superhuman strength are most deserving of official recognition of the highest order."